Diana Shawcroft and Jennifer Leuth, inseparable growing up. Diana and Jennifer went to elementary and junior high school together in Loveland, Colorado in 1995. Diana had moved to Glendale, Arizona, and lived in an apartment with her older sister Tina. After the move, Diana would call Jenny and tell her how unhappy she was and how she was missing her best friend. Jenny decided to follow Diana and moved to Arizona in February of 96. Jenny did not like the cold, and it was freezing in Colorado at that time of the year. The warm climate in Arizona would be a nice break for her and Jenny's parents. Deborah and Bob Leuth were very excited for their daughter to go to a new life and a new adventure. Jenny moved in with Diana and Tina, sharing a bedroom with her best childhood friend. Imagine the excitement of living on their own for the first time in their lives. The trio shared a small apartment, which would be close quarters for any three people. As one might expect, this apparently led to some tension. On May 27th of 96, Diana and Jennifer got into an argument with Christina that prompted them to take a walk to cool off. They arrived at the nearby mini mart about 7 p.m. They bought soda and cigarettes, lingering outside of the shop, to Camelback Road and 59th Avenue for a couple of hours, according to the store's clerk. The clerk soon witnessed Diana and Jennifer leaving the mini mart in a faded blue pickup truck, apparently a 1980s Chevrolet with a chrome bumper. The driver was a man in his 30s with blonde shoulder-length hair and a mustache. He was wearing a blue denim jacket. People who knew the two women claim that they must have known him to get into the vehicle with him, though it is not clear if they had any relationship with this man. One thing is definitely certain: the two women were never seen alive again. 3 months after Diana and Jenny's disappearance, two hunters in Yavapai County made a grotesque discovery in an isolated desert location, approximately 100 miles north of Phoenix on Douglas Road, nearly 20 miles east of I-17. The bodies of Diana and Jenny had been hidden on a small rock ridge, out of sight from the dirt road, overlooking the vast Verde Valley below. Yavapai County Sheriff's Office had now joined the Glendale Police Department in a murder investigation. The cause of Diana and Jenny's death was definitely a homicide, though police never released the details of how they were killed, other than to say the killer had placed Diana's body on top of Jenny's. Above the area where the girls' bodies had been dumped, there was a clearing. One has a clear 360-degree clear view of the surrounding area. From here, one could spot a car approaching a mile away, especially at night. Hunting is popular off Douglas Road, Forest Road 68, as the road is the only way into the isolated area of a high desert from the west off I-17. Police were confident that the killer knew the area and possibly even hunted in the vicinity. The rock ledge where the bodies had been placed was a perfect perch for a hunter who might have glassed for elk, antelope, or mule deer that seek shade during the day and emerge in the early evening. The hills offer clear vantage points to see game. The months between April and July are not that big game hunting months, so during this time in this rugged desert, it is quite possible to never see a passerby, let alone hear someone scream. At the time, police were fairly certain the killer was very strong, or more than one person was involved, because it would have been very difficult to subdue both of them. Jenny was known as very protective and a scrapper. Her family knew she would have fought for her life aggressively. One can only speculate how Diana and Jenny were lured into such a secluded area, but they may have been told they were meeting up with others at a desert party. Jennifer and Diana's family members would create a memorial at the site where they were found with pictures and crosses. 4 years later, on September 29, 2000, police discovered the girls' photos had been removed from the sturdy frame placed there the day of the family vigil in December of 96. Each picture had been removed and the frame discarded near the crosses. One thing we believe: there is little chance a complete stranger happening upon the isolated site would take the photographs, stated police. Melissa Witt. In the early morning hours, Melissa, also known as Missy Witt of Fort Smith, Arkansas, was having a disagreement over money. Melissa asked her mom to borrow some money and told her she would pay her back with her next paycheck. Her mother declined to give it to her. Feeling bad, her mother left a note asking her to join her for a burger later at the bowling world. Melissa was taking classes at West Clark Community College, now the University of Arkansas. Hoping to become a dental hygienist, after classes, she had lunch with a friend at Chick-fil-A, which was just down the road from the college. Melissa had to work that afternoon at the dentist office where she was employed as a dental assistant. When her shift ended, her car wouldn't start. She had accidentally left something on, and the battery was dead. A kind stranger came along and gave her a jump start. The police looked at the Good Samaritan very closely before dismissing him as a suspect. Missy had gone on home, changed her clothes, according to the neighbor who saw her come and then go. It's believed that Melissa wore a white V-neck sweater and blue jeans. Seeing the note that her mother left and running low on money, she intended to meet her mother at the bowling world, but never made it inside. Two people witnessed Melissa's abduction. A young boy who was with his mother at the bowling world said when he went out to retrieve a book from their car, he heard a woman scream, "Help me." He didn't see anyone, but stated the time was around 6:30 or 6:40 p.m. Bowling World didn't have any security cameras in the parking lot, and though some convenience stores in the vicinity did have cameras, they were too far away from the crime scene to be useful. Mary Ann returned home to realize that her daughter wasn't home and seeing that her note wasn't where she had left it. She called Tara to see if she had heard from Melissa. Tara was sleeping and her other friend had to wake her up, but she didn't know where Melissa was. Melissa and Tara had biology class together on Friday and then had plans to hang out that evening. Melissa's mother assumed that her daughter was with friends that evening. But Melissa came home and Mary Ann grew worried. She reported her daughter missing. The officer told Mary Ann that since Melissa is over 18, she can leave on her own accord. But Mary Ann knew that this was out of character for Melissa. At that point, the investigation, there was no reason to believe there was an abduction. December 3rd, 1994, Melissa's car is found at the bowling world. Melissa drove a white 1995 Mitsubishi Mirage. The car showed signs of a struggle. A patron had discovered her car keys and turned them in the night with disappeared. Mary Ann had assumed her daughter went to hang with friends and never made it to the bowling alley. At that point, there was no reason to believe that there was any foul play. The only clues left at the scene were a gold hoop earring, a crushed clear hair clip, her car keys, and pools of blood. Her keys had been picked up and turned into the front desk of the bowling alley. They were found to have traces of blood on them. Melissa's friends and family began to hand out missing person flyers throughout the River Valley area. On the 11th of January 1995, the police received a strange phone call, which made the police, a day or two prior to the discovery of the body, help support this theory, he said. I've always felt that the police call was tied to what had happened, Ryder said. At the time, we didn't have caller ID in the office. It was a voice recording on the machine, and we had our major crimes unit. On the voice message recording, a lady called and with a really strong southern accent could be heard saying, "Go ahead, tell them what you found." He said there also was a younger male voice, also with a really strong southern accent. I don't recall exactly what the male voice said, but it was something like, "I can't," and then hung up on the phone. On the 13th of January 95, Melissa's body was then found by two trappers in the Ozark National Forest. She had been brutally murdered and left to die along a logging trail in the Ozark National Forest, about 50 miles from where she was abducted. A trapper looking for deer sign on the U.S. Forest Service road about 18 miles north of Ozark noticed Witt's nude body lying face down about 30 yards from the road. The body was found on a Forest Service road 1551, located off Franklin County 111, also known as Jethro Road. Melissa is pronounced deceased. Her body was placed near a headstone-like rock. Her clothing was missing from the crime scene, including her jeans, undergarments, purse, and one earring, and her Mickey Mouse watch. She had been strangled to death and sexually assaulted. Over 300 people have been interviewed, including Travis Crouch and Larry Swerven. Larry Swerven was put to death in Texas after being convicted of the murder of Melissa Aline Trotter in 1999. The body of Trotter, 19, was found by hunters in Marion Trotter in 1999. The body of Trotter, 19, was found by hunters in a national forest in 1999, 25 days after she had vanished. In 2011, Melissa's mother, Mary Ann, passed away. She was 75 years old. 3 years after her murder, Melissa's family, the Parnells, filed a suit against the CN Bow Corp. The family alleged that the defendant failed to exercise ordinary care to provide for the safety of business. The court determined that the events were not foreseeable and the case was ultimately dismissed. To this day, this case still remains unsolved. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.